I'm Pat.
I'm Maddie,
I'm Christian, and welcome back to FNBC.
also known as Fake NBC.
If it doesn't have a copyright, we can take the name.
Hello, and welcome back to this week's episode of FNBC, where we will be doing a recap of the 1940s. We will cover everything from music to inventions to the hottest novels of the decade.
Now sit back, relax, and bear with us as we try to bring you back to the 1940s.
Hi, we're currently filming here at the Fake NBC studio, and we think we traveled back to 1949. Excuse me, what year is it?
1949!
Yay!
Well, as we can see, it looks like Maddie successfully traveled back to the 1940s.
Let's go join her and see what happened in the 40s.
Today is December 31st, 1949, and thank you for joining us as we do this recap of the past decade.
We'll jump into it after a word from your local sponsor.
1, 2, 3, time again for Tennessee, Tuxedo and his tail. This portion presented by the Big G General Mills cereals, makers of Cheerios, the toasted oat cereal with Go.
Good grief, Cheerios, kid. What are you doing? Charming a snake, Sue. Lots of luck, pal. Hold it, Sue. I've mastered the technique. Watch. See how he's cuddling? He really loves us. The only thing he loves us for is lunch. I see what you mean. Quick, Sue. I need Cheerios Go. Tastes like an O, like an O, like an O. It's slam, bang, blast off, power, pop, and go. I've got Cheerios Go, Go, Go power. Then you'd better go before we're gone. Remember, Big G, little O. Go with the goodness of Cheerios. What do you say, Sue? Play the piano. It's safer.
Look for Cheerios in your local grocery store.
And remember, kids, the G stands for goodness.
Now let's hear about what led us into the 40s. World War II brought us into 1940 and began the decade. The war put a pause on the nation.
Most of the men went to war, so most of the women went to work at the factories, leaving children either alone, at school, or working in the factories too. But we will get back to their roles soon. The war also brought the U.S. out of the Depression and allowed them to become the world's most powerful nation.
Many other world events also occurred during the 1940s, such as Leon Trotsky's assassination, the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and many others.
Leon Trotsky was the founder of the Red Army and was in a power struggle against Joseph Stalin and eventually lost, and he was exiled.
This exile was a key factor in his assassination. Leon Trotsky was assassinated on August 21st, 1941.
We actually have live footage of his assassination, and we will play it for you now. Get into an event that no doubt changed the U.S., Pearl Harbor.
On December 7, 1941, the Japanese surprise attacked Pearl Harbor Navy Base in Hawaii. This attack on the United States led to our entry in World War II. This attack was a military strike by the Japanese to prevent the U.S. from interfering with their military action.
So now, let's talk about some of the more important people of the 1940s.
The two presidents during this decade were Franklin Roosevelt and Harry Truman, but I'm sure you already know about them.
Some people that made an impact on American pop culture were Marilyn Monroe, who was an actress and model, Frank Sinatra, who was a famous musical artist, and Jackie Robinson, who was the first colored player in the MLB, and many more.
Another person who had a large impact in the 1940s was Adolf Hitler. He affected the 1940s because of his strong rule in Germany and his powerful Nazi army.
Now that we've told you about some more important people, let's tell you about some fun toys and inventions in the 1940s.
3 toys that were invented and made in this decade were the Frisbee, the Slinky, and Silly Putty.
The Frisbee was invented in 1948 by Walter Frederick Morrison and Warren Francione. The Slinky, invented by Richard James in 1943, and Silly Putty, invented in 1949.
Some other inventions were Peter Goldmark's modern colored television system and Conrad Zeuss's Z3. This was the first computer controlled by software. Oh wow, these look like the Stone Age cave paintings in Laxikos. They were actually discovered in the 40s, along with Antarctica.
We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
What's a Frisbee? A Frisbee's fun. It's a flying saucer that you command. Watch.
This is the way to curve a Frisbee.
This is the way to curve a Frisbee.
Catch a Frisbee.
Catch a Frisbee. Skip a Frisbee.
Skip a Frisbee. This is the way to hold a Frisbee.
This is the way to boomerang it.
Every Monday morning.
Afternoon and evening. Frisbee's a game of keep away.
Frisbee's a game of keep away. It lifts like a plane
Or a flying saucer.
and it whirls around like a gyroscope. Frisbee's the way to lots of fun at the park or beach or picnic. For every one of the family.
For every one of the family.
Frisbees are sold everywhere under $1.
Wow!
Welcome back. Now we're going to talk about some foods from the 40s. Some popular foods that came out were Cheerios, York Peppermint Patties, and Doritos.
Here's a short word from FNBC's food department over at Hertz Donuts.
Christian, I just came from Hertz Donuts and I got a couple dozen each for 15 cents. Do you want a Hertz donut?
Sure thing I do.
Hertz donut! Now come on down to Hertz Donuts and buy a dozen for 15 cents.
They're really good.
So, Maddie, tell us about some books in 1940 or any novels.
Some of the popular novels in 1940s included For Whom the Bell Tolls, which was about an American in the war, and it pertains to the hardship of the war, and it was written by Ernest Hemingway. And another popular book was one we read over this summer called Animal Farm.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This reminds me of the time that Anne Frank went into hiding. She went into hiding because of the Holocaust, and during hiding she wrote a very important book called The Diary of Anne Frank.
Now I think it's time that we get back to talk about the roles of different family members. The men were required to fight in the war, while the women filled the jobs of the men. They supported the families and themselves, and some of them even served in the Nurse Corps. The children had to grow up quickly because war affected their play and imagination. The teenagers left school early to find jobs. They had to fend for themselves as their mothers worked, and they moved away from farm to the big city area in order to find jobs.
Music in the 1940s was dominated by swing, big band, and jazz, which can be classified as bebop. Frank Sinatra was the most popular artist during this time. Some of his major hits were You Make Me Feel So Young and New York, New York. To go along with the extravagant music, dance was a huge part of American pop culture. Some dances include swing dancing, the jitterbug, the Lindy Hop, the Charleston, the jive, and the popular known salsa. Other very popular forms of entertainment consisted of theater and films, the most popular of these being Casablanca and the Disney movie Pinocchio. Radio was also a huge part of life in the 40s. It was one of the main sources of entertainment, sports, and news within a household.
In the 1940s, sports were mostly put on hold as a lot of the athletes went to fight in the war. Basketball was mostly just a novelty, along with football, because they weren't that popular yet, but there still were, of course, major leagues. Boxing was probably the most popular sport during the 1940s, though. Some of the most popular boxers of the time were stars such as Rocky Graziano, who inspired the Rocky movies, and Sugar Ray Robinson, who won the welterweight title in 1946. Sacred here to talk to you about the values and beliefs of the 1940s. Discrimination was still very bad between both African Americans and Zoot Suits. People also went to church a lot more because of the war and depression going on.
Jump if you love 1940.
Thanks for
watching.
Thanks, Mr. Keating, and everyone else for watching. Emily Clark filming credits.
Credits to Emily Clark for filming. Credits to Mr. Keating for having the class. And
Credits to 1940 for
1940s.
existing.
And Kelsey Harper for starring in one scene for 2 seconds. And Pat.
And Christian. And Maddie.
And me.
Maddie Cahill, Christian Miller.
Yay!
Woohoo!